So this is my current solution, not just for not having plastic in the landfill, but because every penny that you spend that goes to the landfill is a penny that doesn't stay on your homestead. If you have to go out and buy Ziplocs, you're spending money on something that doesn't stay on your homestead. It doesn't get used over and over again. If I have paper instead of plastic, I can take that paper and I can compost it. And when I compost it, it turns into soil, and then I plant my garden in it, and then it turns into food for my family. It stays here. So today I wanted to talk about ways to minimize plastic on your homestead, in your kitchen. We go through a lot of food, whether it be garden, butchering, milk products. All those things require some container to store them in. When we're drying them or when we're smoking them, obviously they're exposed to open air. But as soon as they are finished, generally in order to preserve freshness, to protect them from insects, from sunlight, you want to put them in a container. Now, the one thing that I have really struggled to find a container for is my large rabbits and chickens. Generally, I find a large gallon-sized bag. These are quail. The easiest way I find is to put it in a gallon plastic bag, but these are one-time use. If I have meat in them, I want to throw them away when I'm finished with them. If I've had vegetables in them or dry goods in them, I can reuse them, but not when they've had meat in them. This year was the first year on our homestead that I canned any of our meat. It's delicious. I've never had better food than this. It's like it cooked in bone broth and then gelatinized, and it's just amazing food. So if you're into canning, it's a no-brainer. You don't have to store anything in the freezer. But for us, sometimes we have so many animals and I have other things going on, so it's difficult for me to get everything canned. In those instances, it's really nice to just be able to put them in a big container, stick them in the fridge, and then think about it later. So one of the things that I found was big silicone envelopes. They are big silicone, they're like a Ziploc, but they're enormous. And the thing about them is that you can boil them. If you've heard of an autoclave kit, it's a little silicone pouch that you put in your pressure canner, and you can sterilize surgical instruments. Well, these are the same thing. You can put them in and sterilize them by boiling them so they're reusable. They're a little slidey lid thingy. The little slidey lid cannot be boiled, and it's a brat to get off. I have weak wrists because of knitting and milking. There we go. So sometimes it's hard for me to get it on and off, but you can fit a whole rabbit in here. You can fit a whole chicken in here, and they are expensive. I believe that these are $10 a piece. You just have to dry it over the top of something so that the inside can dry. Do you see how that kind of opens up the bottom? This is also how I put it in the dishwasher. I put it over the top of a milk jug or something to open it up in the bottom rack of the dishwasher, and it works really well. These just slide into the dishwasher, and what it is it's a lunch box type of a situation, and this is how it fits together, and then it snaps like this. And so your food has to fit on this little raised section, and then you can put juicy things in it. You wouldn't want to put soup in it, obviously, but you can put juicy things in it as long as you keep it stable like this. If you don't keep it stable like this and you tip it and there's anything juicy, it runs out the bottom. This is not sealed very well. I don't know that it would work as well as, say, a Ziploc container that has a lid that pushes on, because those are washable and reusable. So I'm not really sure if this beats that, especially where if you tip it, the liquid drips out. But because they sent it to me, I do have a coupon code down in the bottom. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head right now, but I will put it in the description, and you can get a discount for these. I think these are called silly trays, and I have 4 of them, and I am surprised at how much I use them. So let's see, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? We use we have a dairy down the road that John likes to buy milk from because he goes through a lot more milk than what our goats produce. And so I reuse these jars. I have quite a few of them on hand. And I just filter my milk into these jars and use these in the fridge. I try to buy products in glass jars because I like to reuse my glass jars. I don't like to have a full garbage can at the end of the week. I like to have very little in my garbage can. I don't like a lot going to the landfill. Even though for environmental reasons, yes, that's important. But for me, I like to get as much use out of the money that I spend as possible. And so by having a container left over that is so easy to sterilize and so easy to use after eating the groceries inside, I'm paying myself back because I'm not having to buy more canning jars to store raisins in. I'm just using my honey jar. What else? Here's a pickle jar. I have our yogurt that I make in my Kasori Instant Pot. There's my goat yogurt. It's in a pickle jar. Here is my lard that I made. I have many, many jars of lard. Most of it is still in the fridge or down in the pantry, but I have one jar open. It's staying solidified in our open air kitchen, and the amount of time it takes for me to use it, it'll stay good just fine. Whenever I buy something, I try to have something that has a reclosable lid. And so let's see if I can find it. If I have to buy something that isn't in bulk, I will buy it with a reclosable lid, and then I will use my old flour containers. These are my flour, what my flour came in. I will use these as Ziplocs in my kitchen. They're food grade. I don't wash them, and I actually use these as some of my freezer bags when I'm butchering things or when I'm harvesting things out of the garden. Even if you spend just a little tiny bit more, so usually you don't have to spend a tiny bit more. Usually it's the same price. For something with a little resealable top, it means I can reuse it and I pay myself back. These are vinegar jugs. These are what we use to take hot water to the pigs, the goats, the rabbits, and everything else in the winter. We take them hot water 3 times a day so that they're not ingesting cold water and thus needing to use more calories to keep themselves warm. And so these are vinegar jugs. When we have our white vinegar that we use for cleaning, I always save these because they're much, much stronger than a regular water jug. These will last for years as long as you keep them out of the sunlight. Years. Also, take the lids off, throw the lids away. You don't want to have lids with water on these because the water hasn't been sterilized. If you leave the lids off, you're not having bacteria grow on the inside. These are frosting buckets from the local bakery. I go in and buy them for $1 a piece, including a lid. If you pay for them in Walmart or on Amazon, they're anywhere from $4 to $8 a piece. So for $1, I can get them locally instead of them going into the landfill, and then we use them. This one is the pig bucket. It has some eggs in the bottom that cracked in the cold. This is for pig food, and then I have one for compost as well that's separate. All right, so those are all of the containers that I've found recently. If you're buying something on Amazon, it had better be able to be sterilized because you're going to pay a very pretty penny for it. And you might as well be buying Ziplocs if it's something that has to be washed in cold water. I am really excited to have these. I would like to have 6. That's how many I would like to have, because that's about how many rabbits or roosters we can butcher in a day easily and clean up the mess after. So if we have 6, then we can do a full butcher day, put them in the freezer, use them over the next few weeks, and then have them all clean and ready for the next butcher day. And I don't have a coupon code for this. These I bought myself. This one, again, has a coupon code below, and I believe it's called Silly Tray, if I remember correctly. And I hope that was enjoyable. I hope that was helpful. And thanks for popping in. I will try to put in links in the description and cards to other things that kind of pertain to what we've talked about. And I appreciate you coming in, and we'll talk to you later.